Good morning. Hey, we're going to go through the lesson that we went through earlier today, just hitting the high points on it. If you remember, we're going to start with the baseline. In other words, we're going to make the line that the eyes are going to sit on for the whole portrait here, okay? So I'm just doing it with my Sketchbook Pro here. So we're just going to put in a baseline. Notice how right here, we're right in the inside of the eye, and we're lining it up with the inside of that one. And so we're just going to draw a nice line all the way through here. So we have something to work with. So anything I draw over here will be oriented with this set of eyes over here also. So we're going to figure out where the eyes are on here. Then we're going to set the eyes as the scale size. This is the eye that we're going to be doing right now. And so right here is, we're going to mark it the beginning of the eye over here. And now we're just going to measure, like I talked about earlier today, we're going to measure from the inside of the outside of the eye here and to the inside of the eye over here. And we're just going to measure it like with just your pencil, like we practiced this morning. So I'm just going to measure it. Going to double check it here. You can't see me doing this. We're just going to have to go through. You're just going to have to remember what we talked about this morning using your pencil. Okay. And also we notice on this edge, notice how the bottom of the iris, the round part of the eye, is sitting right here, right on the line. Likewise with the inside of the eye. The back side of the eye, notice it is not, it's not sitting on the eye, or on the line. So it's above. And for these, for this lesson, I'm just gonna eyeball this a little bit. So right about in there, roughly. Okay. Now, one of the things we need to remember, we talked about the angles. How do we transfer the angles of the eye? Here is an important one right here. So see how it traces? So I'm going to pull out my ruler again, and I'm going to kind of bring it to that angle. As you can see, there's roughly the angle that we are on. So you're looking at it goes like this. And we're going to transfer that over to the edge over here. And then we're going to do the same for the next angle. There's three angles that I can see. One here, one here, one here. Okay, as far as what makes up the structure of the eye. So I'll do one more angle here. And we're going to transfer that over here. Notice how the angles, you want them to connect the points that we've established. Right there's a point, so the first angle attaches there. The second angle attaches there. And the third angle, which is basically that one. We'll measure that one real quick here. Give or take. And we're going to use the technique that, like you used in class today. Notice we established that's the inside of the point of the eye, so it's just we're just going to transfer that angle up to here, to the other line. So we got a little vector going on. There. Now, so you have this shape already there. Now we need to establish where this iris sits in here. And it's more of an eyeballing it. You got to kind of eyeball this. Where does it land on this line here? Where do the 2 points of this eye land on that line? So you can see right there. Doesn't quite make it to the angle. It's just inside it, so we'll call it right about there. And the back one doesn't quite make it to the to that angle either, so we're a little short of that one. And then you see how that, do you remember how we talked? We're going to have to eyeball this just a little bit, see how it That goes kind of from that corner up here and works its way down. Okay. Now we've kind of filled in the iris. Like so. And now there's just a little bit left of this eye right here, which is that little fat of the top part of the lip of the eye there. And in this instance, we measured the inside. Now there's a little bit of thickness on this back side here that we didn't account for, so we're just going to add that back here. It's more of an eyeballing it. We kind of round it up. And I'll use my eraser to kind of get rid of some of that excess now. And so that's kind of the mapping of the first eye. Now likewise, I'm going to do just a little bit of a demo with the eyebrow part of it. This is really all we're going to do once again is transfer angles. So I'm going to, instead of bringing up my ruler, I'm just going to do this eyeballing a little bit. So if you want to measure it, you certainly can. You can certainly measure it. But for accuracy's sake, but for this I'm just going to eyeball this. And we're just going to see how it kind of just goes along this angle. I'm just going to transfer that angle, eyeballing it over here. And notice how this back part of the eye is down here, came right to that right to the baseline, and notice how it kind of just arcs out a little bit like this. So we're going to just arc it out to show where it kind of ends in here. And then for the thickness, once again, if you want to measure it, it looks like it's about the height of the eye. I'm eyeballing that. So I'll just eyeball it again. And so that's basically the eyebrow real quick. Notice how this part of the eye underneath, that's where the lower lip of the eye, and that's where the eyelash is kind of attached, right back here. And then this last part where it kind of sinks in. I'm going to just eyeball that in there too. Notice the angles. You want to transfer those angles over to the drawing side. Okay. Okay, and that should do it. I will quick show you how to, if you notice, the eye here is the scale, and you always want to double check the width from here to here when you're placing this eye. Okay, and I think that does it. Make sure you're really careful with your angles. Make sure you're really careful with your measurements when you're transferring a drawing, when you're taking the information off of your reference and you're putting it on your drawing side. Make sure you're very careful and accurate with that. And another important thing is, I'll just do a little demo here. Your eye, remember to draw what you see. Okay, here's the shape of the eye, like this. Try really hard not to go into doing a manga mode where your angles and your shapes get really, really super accentuated, and you can quickly see that this is not what this eye looks like. It's just a little too much sharpness to it. There's no subtlety to it. So you want to make sure you're drawing what you're seeing. If that line is narrow like this, like you see right through here, nice and narrow like this, don't make it this. It's part of keeping that eye, keeping a portrait keeping the portrait likeness intact. If you start making what you see something else, it's obviously not going to look like your portrait subject. So that's it for now.